Yeah. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the growth hacking workshop. So today I'll give you a general introduction of what growth hacking is. And even though this introduction may not be very rigorous in terms of the definition or concepts, I'll try and take you through some case studies so that you um, understand why growth hacking is fun and what it's about. So again, I would like to put in a disclaimer here that this is not going to be a very comprehensive introduction to growth hacking. This is just to give you a flavor of what growth hacking is through some examples, right? So I would like to start off by saying that the reason why companies need growth hackers is when you come up with new products, right? Whether you're a startup or you're a corporate, when you come up with a new product, the world resists new things, right? There's inertia in general. So to get a new product and get the world to use the new products is usually challenging. And let me quote the, this person, Eric Ries, the one who's come up with the concept of lean startup. He says that more than 90% of startups or new product launches of corporates fail. More than 90% of startups or new product launches of corporates fail. So what does this data point tell us? This tells us that we humans are really bad at doing new stuff, right? As humans, we're usually very bad at doing new stuff. So he's come out with a different solution to this called the lean startup, which you'll probably learn in case you're doing product management. I mean, there's one workshop on Deep Thoughts YouTube channel which you can access. But today we're discussing a different topic, which is how do you then take these new products into the market, right? Because you may not have great budgets to advertise or to get an MS Dhoni as a brand ambassador or something like that. So within limited budgets, you want to be acquiring a lot of customers. That can be challenging. So this is where growth hacking comes into picture. Now I'd like to share like 3 stories of growth hacking. Story 1, I was talking to one startup which is I met at Thai Global Summit. They're a video tech platform, and they said they're getting 1 lead at 60 rupees on Instagram, and 1 out of the 5 leads are converting into customers. 1 out of the 5 leads are converting into customers, which means to get 1 customer, they're spending 300 rupees, right? And I asked how much does a customer pay, on an average per year. They said a customer pays 10,000 rupees on an average per year. They said if you're spending 300 rupees to get a customer, and a customer gives you 10,000 rupees in a year, you should be a unicorn by now. The ratio is amazing, right? 10,000 is what one customer is paying. Lifetime value of one customer is 10,000. And customer acquisition cost CAC is 300. So 10,000 by 300, if you do the math, it's like 33. And today in the industry, investors usually look for a ratio of 2 or a ratio of 5 is good. LTV by CAC ratio, right? How much you're getting out of one customer divided by how much money you're spending to get one customer. So this is amazing. Then they said, look, one customer might get us about 10,000, but unfortunately what's happening is a lot of new customers are dropping off. They're not continuing for the year-long thing. I asked, why are they dropping off? They said the customers are not able to understand how to use our platform. Then I asked them, what are you doing to solve this problem? They said, we are trying to hire a good customer success team. They will talk to these customers and guide the customers on how to do it. Then I said, look, if you hire a customer success team and if every customer has to be guided, then your margins will reduce. No? Let us say you're paying a customer success team like 15,000 rupees a month, let's say, right? And 25 days in a month. So per day, you're paying like 600 rupees. So let's say they work, quality work is like for 4 hours a day. So you're paying 600 rupees per day, 4 hours per day. That's like 150 rupees you're paying for quality work, let's say even for youngsters. Now, if in 1 hour you can, help 2 clients, you're spending like what 75 rupees per client, servicing. And let's say you have to, up to 5 hours you're going to spend about 370 rupees. So you're having a lot of expenditure which is going into guiding the customer. So your margins are going to reduce when people are going to come in at every point. Then they asked, then how do you think we should do it? I said, why do you want people to be doing it? Why can't you do something called NUX? Now, what is this NUX? NUX is new user experience. So in growth hacking, we study this concept of NUX because now if Nishant is a user of my platform and he comes every day, he already knows how to use the platform. But if Tushar is a first-time user of the platform, Tushar doesn't know how to use the platform. So Tushar may need more education to use the platform, correct? But if I give that education to Nishant, Nishant will get pissed off and say, why are you doing all this? Stop boring me. Now, let's say you guys are using the thread builder, right? And I'm doing a session right now and I say, guys, let me spend 5 minutes in explaining you how to use this thread builder on the platform. Nishant will be like, "Mujhe kyun paka raha hai? I already know how to use the thread builder. Can you please go into growth hacking topic right away?" But then Tushar would be like, "Boss, I don't know how to use the thread builder. Can you please tell me?" So what can you do? So for Tushar, you can say, "Tushar, since you do not know how to use a thread builder, can you please join the workshop 10 minutes before? So that in the first 10 minutes, we'll show you how to use the thread builder. And then you can join the workshop." That's a better way, no? To have a different experience for a new person and an old person. For example, yesterday's LDI, we asked everybody to come at 7:45 instead of 8. Our thought process was new people will come at 7:45, old people will come at 8. So the new people can be educated what is LDI in 15 minutes. And the old people can directly come at 8 so that you can have a different experience for the new people and different experience for the old people. So that's why you have a separate UX and NUX. So I told them, you create a separate different experience for somebody who's a new user. How do you know the person is a new user? The person just logged in. The person just signed up. Then your problem is solved. You don't have to have a big customer success team to go call everyone and explain everyone how it works. And in NUX, what you can do is probably you can even put a video with screen recordings of how to use the platform. You can try different NUX. You can give it to different people and you can experiment which one is working better for people. Where is the dropout rate lower? So this is one principle of growth hacking, right? That if there are heavy dropout rate somewhere, for that scenario, you can create a different user experience and you can solve the problem within that user flow which you're creating. This is my story one of growth hacking. That you saw that one customer is dropping out because the customer is having a problem. So in that place where the customer is dropping out, you can put some content describing how to use that. I'll give you a simple example. Like on DeepThought mobile app, if somebody forgets the password and they ask for an OTP, people get a little anxious when they click forget password and they're waiting for OTP. Sometimes OTPs don't get delivered, they get angry and all. So to calm them down, we put a joke over there. So if you forget a password and you're waiting for the OTP and all, you'll see jokes over there in DeepThought mobile app. And there'll be a carousel of jokes which will be playing. So we just experimented it and later Rohit himself came running and said, "Arey, who came up with this idea? This is so good." Like, yes, it worked. And the best part is we can upload multiple jokes and you can go add your own joke there. You can add your own joke which other people can see. It's there in the DeepThought mobile app. Just go click forget password and you'll get this. So you can actually solve problems on the tech front itself. This is one aspect of growth hacking, right? That you see that users are dropping out due to some reason. You get the data. Then you can solve it creatively by fixing the product itself, by fixing some part of the product itself. Okay. This is my story number one. My story number two is, I was talking to another startup in Thai Global Summit. And with this startup, what was the problem? It's on DeepThought website, all these stories. 1 minute. Yes. So this startup was into selling water ionizers. So they ionize water, so water gets purified and you get healthier water and can get health benefits. So this founder told me that their LTV is 1.5 lakhs. So Tushar, you wanted to ask something?
Yeah, question on the first story itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to solve the problem, first we have to identify why people are leaving. Why what's causing the dropout rate, right?
Correct.
So from the product front itself, like how do you know what feature, what part of the product is causing people to drop out?
So one thing is you have something called heat maps, Tushar. So through heat maps, once you install heat maps, you can understand where your traffic is going, which all sections people are, going to. And in the product, you can actually track how people are traveling, right? Let's say there's a user who came in, the user visited all these pages, but just before clicking sign up, the user went away. So there are tools which will help you track how users are going. So through that, you can understand that these are the places where the users are dropping out. And one more thing you can always do is people who give their phone number and don't take further steps on your platform, you can always call them up, talk to them, and find out where they had problems. Because people who have problems usually speak when you ask them what the problem is. Think about it. Let's say you got pissed off with Ola and somebody from Ola comes and asks Tushar, can you give me feedback? You'd of course be happy to go and tell them what went wrong, right? It's not very tough to get those people to open up if they had a problem. I mean, that's one principle in UX, right? So when you're doing UX research, if someone is having a problem, simple, straight away, go and ask them what's the problem. You don't have to work too hard. They'll be more than happy to tell you what the problem is. So two things. One is the heat maps and the tools through which you can track the journeys that people are taking. And the second thing is you can just call up people, have a candid conversation, tell them that this is what we're trying to solve. We're trying to make your life better. If you can help us with some candid opinion that can help us create a better experience, not just for you, but for everyone else. You have to give them a reason or why they should give you proper feedback, right? Let's say I call you and say, Tushar, hi, I'm calling from Ola, and we constantly strive to improve the experience for drivers. We just got to know that many of for passengers, we got to know many passengers are having this problem. Tushar, trust me, we are really trying to make a difference. That's why we're calling up people. We've called up 20 people. We're calling you right now. So if you can just give us 5 minutes and if you can give us candid feedback, trust me, multiple passengers like you can have a much better experience every day. We are going to show you results in just a week's time. So just give us feedback and trust me, I'll come back to you in a week's time to come up with a solution of what we're going to implement. So when I tell you this, right, you'll probably trust me to open up. Otherwise, you'll be like, why should I bother giving you all this? So that's again, how do you make them open up is a different skill. Did I answer your question, Tushar?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So now moving to second case study, this guy was selling a water ionizer and the ionizer costs about 1.5 lakh. So he cracks one customer, he gets 1.5 lakh. The ionizer stays for about 25 years. So possibly in one lifetime, you're selling only one ionizer to one customer. And it costs him about 20,000 rupees to get one customer. Then I said 1.5 lakhs divided by 20,000, your LTV by CAC is 7.5. Then the founder immediately said, no, it is not 7.5. For every one customer, I get another 3 customers referrals. So he said it is 20,000 divided by, 1.5 lakh divided by 5,000. So it's like 30, LTV by CAC of 30. I said, hey, then what is stopping you from growing? Because looks like you're acquiring customers at a very good pace. And I asked, why are people referring you? He said they're referring because they're getting health benefits. I said, how do you know that they're getting health benefits? He said, let's say you have acidity or you have some diabetes or some problem, you're having health issues and you in a month's time, you see that you're slightly doing better. You'll obviously realize, right? I'm like, okay, that makes sense. So then I said, okay, your user persona is people who are currently suffering. User persona is people who are currently suffering. And that's what's stopping you from growing. He said the problem is because the cost is 1.5 lakhs, people think a lot before buying. So there again, growth hacker, right? If that's what is causing friction, as a growth hacker, you want to reduce friction. Then I came up with 2 ideas. One idea is go to a gated community, set up one ionizer there for 1 month and let people come and take water and have free water for 1 month. Let people have free water in 1 month in a gated community. And after 1 month, whoever wants to buy, let them come pay that money and buy. Because if these people have experienced the benefits for 1 month, you know that they're going to buy. But other than this, another solution which I came up with is, okay, you have target clients. They're dropping out only because the price is high. Instead, offer them, say 2 liters of water every day. Let's say 1 liter of water is 50 rupees. And for 1 day, it's 100 rupees. For 1 month, let's say it's 3,000 rupees. Collaborate with the milk boys in that area. Through the milk boys, send this ionized water for 1 month. And after 1 month, you tell them your offer ends right now. If you want this ionized water for a lifetime, you can pay 1.5 lakhs and get it for a lifetime. And maybe collaborate with an NBFC, non-banking financial corporation, and they can give them EMIs and, the NBFC will pay you out 1.5 lakhs. Those guys will pay installments over a period of time. This is how you can reduce the friction, right? This is my case study 2 of how you understand the friction point and you mitigate that friction point. And case study 3. I was talking to one startup which does acqui-hires. So let's say you're building your own startup and you're not able to get customers. So you're forced to shut down. You're forced to shut down because you're not able to get customers. So what these guys do is they help the startup in getting acqui-hired. Acqui-hired means Some other company acquires your startup not because of they want your product, but because they want your team. So why do companies acquire startups? Because when you acquire a complete startup, you get the CEO, you get the project manager, you get the team, you get everyone. You get a complete team which can function and execute. And it takes a lot of time to build a team, right? This is why people acquire. Then I asked, you guys should be in huge demand because a lot of startups are about to shut down. At least they'll get some money, no? Then he said, no, we're not getting success. He said, our email open rate is only about what, 15% or something. And conversion rate after that is 10%. So they're hardly getting 1.5% conversion on leads. Quite low. I asked, why are you having a problem? I asked, why are people saying no? He said, people are not saying no. For me, that is the problem as a growth hacker. If people are not saying no, people not saying yes is not a problem. People not saying no is a problem. Means your communication loop is problematic somewhere. If people are not saying no, people are hesitating to say no. Then he said, Tarun, let me recall, before we launched our product, we did a survey. And in the survey, founders said that they have a stigma, that they feel that getting acqui-hired means like failure. So they don't want to get acqui-hired. I said, okay, you understood why you are having a problem. What are you doing to solve it? I said, Tarun, we are running a lot of marketing campaigns of, what are the benefits of getting acqui-hired, or success stories of other startups. I said, the problem is the stigma. He didn't say stigma. He said, people are worried and people don't do. I said, that's stigma. I said, if the problem is stigma and you're trying to do more marketing or you're trying to tell success stories, is that going to work? He didn't understand. Then I told him the same thing in a different way. I said, let's say you run a matrimonial startup. And there's a 40-year-old dude who's a Kattar Hindu or Kattar Muslim or Kattar Christian, whichever religion you want, plug it. Okay, that person is extremely conservative religious fellow. And that fellow is 40 years old and that fellow is not married. I mean, fellow or man, woman, whatever you take, right? That person is not married and that person is like 40 years old. And you go and you show a match of a person who's of an opposite religion. And you tell this person that my AI, my data tells that you both are, will be very happy together. And you do marketing about how your AI is always good at, matching people. And you tell about success stories of other people who got married through your platform. And this fellow is like extremely religious conservative. Is that going to work? The problem is not that the fellow doesn't trust you. The problem is the mind block, right? So then I told him that, look, if you're having a mind block which is social or psychological in nature, the customer acquisition cost will be very high. Changing mindsets is expensive. So then the only way your business can succeed is when you have a nice psychological hack. And I said, you need some psychologists in your team. And I said, the way I would do it is, I'll go and run a campaign saying that I'll run an advertising campaign where some people of a startup come and they say, let's say I'm running this campaign and let's say Nitin and me are in the ad. And I'm like, me and Nitin were working in the same team. We both are close buddies. We really have a very good chemistry. We understand each other so well. If I tell Nitin one sentence, he immediately understands and he executes the project. But when our company was about to shut down, I was worried if I'll get to work with Nitin. I thought that our very good, teamwork is going to come to an end. But luckily, we collaborated with this startup and they got our entire team acqui-hired. So me and Nitin Nitin, Mervin, Subhangi, Soumita still work together. Our 5-member Rockstar team is still together. Then the ad says, congratulations to this founder who kept the Rockstar team together. What are you doing through this campaign? You're converting the stigma into
into a positive emotion.
Yeah, Nitin.
You're showcasing that the value that you are creating for startups.
Not value, boss. If I'm having an emotional block, I'm not interested in any value. That's again a problem. You're trying to take on an emotional problem logically. It's not going to work with any human. Whenever deep concern which is rooted in some emotions, you go and try to logically reason with me, that's not going to work. You've got to address the root concern, right? So it's not you reasoning with me, it's you, showing me a positive emotion, you taking me to a positive emotion, you showing me a positive connotation of acquihire. Now, someone asked me, what do you do in the marriage wala case? So there, I will show an ad where, that fellow says that, for so many years of my life, I was lost, I was lonely, this, that. If that fellow is, a Hindu fellow, you say, maybe I realized that this was Shivaji ka Vardhan, that, I got a second, or I got an opportunity in life and we are together, we are so happy. Well, I'm using religion to attack religion. You got my argument, right? To say that, initially I was a fool, I didn't recognize, I was very rigid. Later I realized that Lord Shiva was testing me. He was checking that even though he solved the problem for me, whether I was wise enough to recognize the solution or not. At the end of the day, what religion matters? I will worship Shiva. The other person will worship, Jesus. What matters? What matters is we are happy. What matters is we are true to our God. So there again, you run an ad to solve the core problem, right? The psychological problem. So when you talk of growth hacking, for me, I think two things matter. One is, how do you understand the user behavior, right? Why are users behaving the way they're behaving? And second thing is how you understand the numbers and understand the journey across the numbers, right? At the acquisition stage, at the activation stage, at the retention stage, at the monetization stage, at all the stages, you understand how the user is traveling through your funnel, traveling through the journey, right? The more concepts, the more principles which can come in, and as we have more discussions, they can come in. For example, you're launching a product. You don't want to be selling to everyone in the beginning. You want to be selling to one very focused niche in the beginning, because that focused niche would understand you and give you an opportunity. And the others will come in at a later stage once you have enough traction, once you have evidenced it. The first few people will come in because they are also very invested in your concept. They are also very interested in your, idea. Not everyone will come in the beginning because they doubt whether you'll really make it or not. So I think we learn a lot of these concepts, and through that we, end up getting traction for products. So this, I think, what I wanted to share with you guys. So now I'm happy to pause and take some questions. Questions? Yeah, Tushar.
What if, to understand a certain problem, to understand the problem, you have to do a certain experiment which requires a lot of resources or effort. So in that case, would you not do that experiment? Or what?
So I think, see, if you want to do an experiment which takes a lot of money, then I think you're trying to figure out something very big. I'll further break that down and try to do a low cost experiment first, try to validate that low cost experiment, try to generate some revenue from that, and then gradually go to the more expensive thing. See, a lot of startup founders make this mistake by saying, if you give me $100 million, then I'll be able to do it. Those startups will never take off. What if you, after investing that 100 million, you realize that that's not going to work? The entire 100 million have gone down the drain, right? So in the lean startup methodology, that's what we learn: how to do low cost experiments, how to, validate the idea with frugal budget, and then go to something bigger, and then go to something bigger. For example, you want to launch an Uber. Can you launch it in just a few parts of one city? Can you launch it without the app? Can you launch it purely on WhatsApp? Figure out if it's working. Then use a no-code platform and build something low cost, and then run it on a smaller scale. Then once you see that you're able to, satisfy the needs of enough customers with good economics, then probably invest more money. And once you're able to do all over Mumbai, then invest money, go to other cities. So rather than trying to do something very big or ambitious, but want to start with small steps and then go upwards. That's a smarter way for risk mitigation, right? Take a smaller risk, surpass that, then take a slightly bigger risk, overcome that, validate, and then go upwards. Did I answer your question, Tushar?
Yes. And about validation, right? Can you elaborate on the validation, like why we need to validate stuff?
What if you realize, see, we all have a lot of ideas, right? But would they work? Would they not work? Can we predict that? I make a chocolate and Tushar usually likes chocolate. Tomorrow when I launch it, will Tushar buy it?
Like, we don't know. But yeah.
What if tomorrow morning Tushar listens to one Baba on TV who convinces him not to eat a chocolate?
Yeah, again, it depends.
It's unpredictable, right? User behavior is highly unpredictable. Why people behave, when people behave, the way they behave, you can never predict, right? So we live in a highly unpredictable world. So that's why we try to experiment if it works or doesn't work. Even after doing that validation, it may still fail. But at least you've taken a more intelligent bet, right? Yeah. Next question.
So Tarun, in all the three stories, the solution that really worked was counterintuitive. So is it that in growth hacking you like don't follow the norms or don't solve the obvious problem?
I don't know, but I think in the three cases, the founders were already looking for a solution for a very long time. If the solution was straightforward, they would have already found it. But because I don't think I was intuitive or counterintuitive. I was just trying to diagnose properly. And once I diagnosed it properly, I was just going back to my first principles to see what solves the problem. Like in the case of the start acqui-hiring thing, I noticed the problem was stigma. Then I said, how can I convert that stigma to more of something which is aspirational? What is aspirational? When someone is a hero, I want to be a hero. They're being perceived as a zero. From zero, I want to make them a hero. Then I came up with an advertising concept of how they can be perceived as a hero. In the case of the water, I realized the barrier is too high. What's the first principle? If the barrier is too high, have a low cost offering, right? So they first test it, they experience it, and then they buy. Then I tried thinking, what is that low cost experience I can give them? Then I realized I can just take that water, put it in a bottle and sell them. I was trying to approach it from the first principles. First, diagnose it. Where is the real problem? Diagnose it. Ask all the questions. And how do I diagnose it? I do all my numbers, right? I fit in all my numbers. How much does it cost to get a customer? Are they able to get a customer? How much does the customer pay? Where are they stuck? I'm trying to analyze the money coming into the system, right? Why is that money not coming? For me, it is a success if the money comes into the bank account and the money comes consistently. If the money is coming into the bank account, very good. Why are more customers not coming in? If more customers are coming, why are they not referring customers? Why are they not renewing? If they're referring, they're renewing, then very good, you're a unicorn, you don't need me. But a lot of cases, they're not a unicorn, so they need the growth hacker. So you ask, is the money coming into the bank account? If it's not coming into the bank account, where is it stuck? You diagnose that. If it's coming into the bank account, are you getting enough people? If you're not getting enough people, why are you not getting enough people? If you're getting enough people, are they renewing? If they're not renewing, why are they not renewing? Are they referring? If they're not referring, why are they not referring? If they're referring and if the referrals are not converting, why are they not converting? End of the day, I'm only asking one question. Why is this fellow not able to make money? If he's making 1 crore, why is he not making 5 crore? That's why I do the diagnosis and understand where the problem is. And once you do the diagnosis and understand where the problem is, I think then it's about going to the first principles and identifying some possible solution. Some could be intuitive, some could be counterintuitive. Did I answer your question?
So from what I understood is the problem is identifying the real cause or articulating the real cause rather than just running after the solution.
Absolutely. I think 50% of your problem is solved when you can define your problem, Palash. In a lot of cases, people are in a hurry to go and find a solution. They don't spend enough time understanding the problem. Even in mathematics exam, right? A lot of people goof up because they don't read the question properly and end up solving something else. So one key thing is to spend enough time understanding and articulating the problem. Not just in growth hacking, in general in product management as well, right? An important step is to, spend enough time, articulating what the problem is. In design thinking, step 2 is define. Step 1 is empathy, empathize with your stakeholders, and step 2 is define. And for me, I think that's a very critical step. Next question. I see a lot of people making that mistake, directly looking for a solution. And I find it problematic because when I am solving a problem, I talk to enough people not to get a solution, but to articulate what is my real problem. Because many times when you have problems, you intuitively know it's a problem, but you don't know what it is. When you speak to enough people, you probably get an articulation of what that problem is. Do I make sense? For me, I tell this to people, if I can define the problem, I know in 1 week I'll solve it. But my problem is, I want to define it takes a lot more time. To define it and then diagnose what is the root of it. Once you do that, solving it is just a matter of reading the right literature, talking to the right people, figuring out who else is doing the proper benchmarking and all. Follow the design thinking process, you can solve it. Next question. Okay, I have time for 3 more questions. Let's see who goes in. Palash went in with 1, Tushar went in with 3.
The time for a hack a growth is unpredictable, right? In that sense.
That's
So we can't.
That's why good growth hackers are invaluable.
Okay.
Because time is of essence in a startup. You get the hack, but it's too late. By then the startup shut down. You got the idea, but the startup shut down. The team is not there. The money, or the team is there, but the money isn't there. The startup ran out of money. Time is definitely of essence.
In that case, like setting a KPI or a certain number would also be.
Absolutely. This is why for startups, OKRs make a lot of sense. Because when you set up an OKR, objective and key results, OKRs always have a deadline or a timeline. I wouldn't say deadline, but say timeline. That in the next 1 month, I'd like to do it. In the next 1 week, I'd like to do it. Or in the next 2 months, I'd like to do it. What do you say makes sense? That I like to put a milestone and put a timeline also. And one mistake I see a lot of even experienced founders, right? Second time, third time founders, one mistake I see them do is in the early stages when they're launching a product, they don't put a milestone. They don't put a number. They say, I just want to get product market fit. I say, you'll never get it. Put a revenue milestone and put a timeline for it. People say, Tarun, I don't even know whom to sell to. I don't even know what to do. How will I put it? I said, put a number. Because you have to get that number, you'll, move your ass and start working for it. For example, for Deep Thought, by December, I said, I want to do 1 crore ARR. Do I sell to corporate or do I sell to startup? I don't know. What do I sell? How much do I price? I don't know. What do I know? I have to do 1 crore ARR by December. You ask me any other question, my answer is I don't know. What do I know? I need to do 1 crore ARR by December. What if I fail? That's okay. But I'm giving my best to do 1 crore ARR by December. Then what did I do? I started talking to corporates. I started talking to large scale startups. I started talking to early stage startups. I realized early stage startups ke saath I'm getting results faster. Then what did I do? Chalo, let's do more of this. Then I was like, okay, we'll help you with software developers. We'll help you with growth hackers. I realized people are taking growth hackers. Chalo, take growth hackers. 1 crore ARR is done. Then now what am I saying? I want 1 million ARR by June. Whom do I sell to? How do I sell? What channel? I don't know. What do I know? 1 million ARR by June. You get why the numbers and timeline is important? That pushes you to go look for solutions, look for concrete solutions. Initially, did I take it very aggressively on myself? Okay, I have 3 months for 1 crore ARR. At the end of 1 month, I need 30 lakh ARR. No. I said, okay, first month, if I'm slow, that's fine. I'm still finding a recipe. But I need to find a recipe and accelerate on that recipe by second, third month. And if you notice, initially Deep Thought got only 5 clients, 4 clients. That became 5 clients by 45 days. And by 90 days, it became 15 clients. By 100 days, it's almost going to go close to 20 days, 20 clients. Another 5 clients in pipeline. So, but setting these stretch goals is very important. And setting a timeline for that is very important because that will force you to go figure out opportunities, right? Otherwise, you'll just be open-ended. There'll be no convergence anywhere. So when a founder comes and says that no target, we'll just go figure out something, I get scared. Like these guys will go nowhere. And sensible founders agree with me. They say, okay, fine, let's put a number, let's go after it. If we miss it, that's okay. But let's give our best, let's go after it. Let's find a realistic way to get that number. Next question. Yeah, Tushar.
Follow up. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, let
so-
Samita go first. It's a first question for the day. Yeah, go ahead.
I just had the follow-up question to that.
Sure.
If somebody is setting up their OKR, they are very good at setting their OKRs, but they are struggling with coming up with the numbers, as in the KPI. So
You mean the key
what
results, not
what
the
is your suggestion to solve that?
The KPI is a different
Yes.
concept. KPI doesn't go with OKRs. Okay. So I think what you're talking about is the key result, right?
Yes, key result.
So how to come up with the key results? One heuristic or one hack I could give you is figure out that if I really met my objectives, what results would I expect to see? Dream, close your eyes and dream. After 3 months, I really achieved the objective. How would that look like? If you don't know this, then probably you didn't understand your objective. You want to spend some time just imagining, okay, I'm here today. After 3 months, what do I want to see myself as? That will help you define, okay, if I'm saying I want to become more fit after 3 months, what does more fit mean? Then you describe that reality and then you can describe 3 results which are likely to be seen if you're more fit. If you're saying after 3 months, I want to be a better problem solver. Then you ask, if I'm a better problem solver, what would it be? I would come up with more solutions for the problems given to me. That is, per day I have to come up with at least 5 solutions. Or I have to come up with a solution within 2 minutes when someone gives me a problem. Even if it's a bad solution, that's fine, but I want to come up with a solution in 2 minutes. Maybe these are some key results. Are they correct? Are they wrong? That's not what I'm commenting. I'm saying, think of your version, right? According to you, what would happen if you really met that objective? Those become your key results.
Okay. But what if the key results that I'm thinking it's wrong?
That's okay.
So is it possible that I'll go the wrong way?
See, there's always the risk of you going wrong. See, one problem with our school education system is it teaches you the so-called correct answers, right? But when you're solving business problems, a lot of times nobody knows what is the correct answer. By the time you know what is the correct answer, you've already made a lot of money. You're on Fortune magazine. The whole world is interviewing you. Some people write a book about you. But when you start the journey, nobody can know whether it's right or wrong. It's very difficult to tell what is right, what is wrong. For all you know, the answer was right, but you executed it wrong. Or for all you know, the answer was wrong, your execution was also problematic, but by fluke you got success. How can you tell what is right, what is wrong? The only thing is, time will tell whether you made money out of it, whether it was successful or not. Again, if you ask me what is the definition of success, if you say money is the definition of success, time will tell you whether you made money out of it or not. Time will tell you whether a lot of people used it or not. It's very difficult to predict what is right, what is wrong. But you'll come up with a mechanism. You'll reason with yourself if you think it's reasonable for you or not. And if you think it's reasonable, you'll go ahead with it. And you'll probably debate with some mentor to see if it makes sense or not. If it makes sense, you go ahead with it. And you might, debate with some people who have some prior experiences in that space or who understand that space to get some safeguard, right? Where they can caution you about a few things because they know that space well. But again, just because someone knows that space well doesn't mean they're right. They just ask you questions and through that you think through and go ahead. But at the end of the day, that leap of faith becomes important, right? When you're innovating. That's why you call it innovation. You're trying things out. You don't know if it will click. But just that you're taking intelligent bets. You're thinking through and then taking an intelligent bet. Did I answer your question? Okay. Yeah, what do you, Tushar?
Yes, I got it.
Yeah, so you were talking about how OKRs help a lot, and a lot of companies or founders do not do it, right? So what could be the reason if OKRs are very much helpful? Yesterday also you.
I think since today's discussion is on growth hacking, let's limit ourselves to that. But just to quickly answer, I think OKRs take a lot of time to implement. For people to understand and use it in the right way, it takes a lot of time. OKRs have to be used very carefully. Please read this book, Measure What Matters by John Doerr. He explains multiple principles of how to use OKRs carefully. There are a lot of cautions, caveats which you may want to know before you implement OKR. So you read that book, you'll experience that very carefully, very nicely written. Yeah. Any questions about growth hacking? Yeah, Shubhangi, please go ahead.
So, like if we know the problem and we have more than one solution, so how to pick the solution so that at least we start executing?
Good
Because
question. Shubh.
sometimes it happens like time goes in, picking from the choices that you have.
Sure, that's a very good question, Shubhangi. So if you have enough bandwidth to experiment all of them, probably that's the best way that you experiment and find out. But if you don't have time to, let's say you have 10 solutions and you have time to experiment only 3, time and resources only to experiment 3 of them. One solution that I think Sean Ellis mentions in his book Hacking Growth is you can list down some parameters which are critical for the solution, right? Maybe the cost of implementing the solution, the perceived revenue which you might get out of it, or the benefit you get out of it, or the challenges you might face. You write 2 or 3 parameters which are critical for you, and you score each solution based on the parameters, and then you get a total score for each candidate. So based on the total score, you can list, the 3 candidates you might want to experiment initially. Does that make sense, Subhangi?
Yeah.
You put some parameters, right? And you put marks for each solution based on the parameters and see which one is getting more marks. That will give you a good sense of which solution you'd like to pick initially.
Okay.
This will be usually faster than, just thinking all over the place, right?
Yeah.
Because you have a structure. You put your 3 parameters, you put score of each with respect to parameters, and 10-15 minutes you should be able to complete this exercise and complete it. And Sean Ellis has one nice scorecard in his book. You can just go through that scorecard, like 4 parameters he suggests. You can go through that. Next question. Okay, one last question for the day.
What's the name of that writer you told? Spelling Sean.
SEANELLIS, Sean Ellis, Hacking Growth author.
Like whenever we set a small milestone for ourselves, you said like we have to find the realistic way. We have to find the realistic way to achieve those, right? How do we find whether what we are doing is realistic or not? Like how do we
Did I say
analyze
this?
ourselves?
In what context did I say this? Could you elaborate?
Like you said, like whenever we set certain milestones, we have to like find realistic ways to achieve it.
No, I think I said that like when the founder says I want to achieve product market fit, I said I'd want to put some numbers as milestones so that I'm forced to go figure out a way to get it.
Yeah.
So what's the question regarding this?
Like how will you find the way to get it? It's my question. Like how will you find whether your way is right or not? Wrong.
So whether your way is right or wrong, the only way you do it is you try it and see. Right?
Okay.
That's the only way you get validation, right? You try it and then you know if it works or not. So now how do you get the ideas is, I think you start thinking, you start putting it on paper, right? Like, what do I want to get? And then start looking backwards. If I want to get this much revenue, who's going to pay me for this? How much are they going to pay? Why will they pay? How do I get in touch with them? How do I communicate this to them? And start trying things out. I would say if you want to achieve that revenue milestone, put out a shorter revenue milestone. Okay, I want to get $1 million in the next 1 year. How can I get my first $1,000? Does it mean getting 100 customers? Does it mean getting 10 customers? Does it mean getting 1 customer? How do I start? Then you say, okay, if it's about getting 10 customers, will give me $100 each. Who are these 10 customers? Why will they pay this? How do I communicate with them? What do I communicate with them? Start there. Go complete your $1,000 transaction. Then from 1,000, you figure out how do I go to 20,000? From 20,000, you figure out how do I go to 100,000? Do I make sense? So this is as a motherhood question, right? To ask, how do I go figure out that milestone can be tough to answer. But I think what we could do is in future workshops, we can see more case studies of how, such milestones are broken down. And I think as we read more and more case studies, we'll get more heuristics in our bag, right? More heuristics in our bag in terms of how we could approach those milestones.
One final thing, like it's called growth hacking, right? It's just these are just hacks, right? These are not core principles or something that they'll work everywhere. So why do we study so much about them then?
So, see, I think, Palash, I would relate growth hacking to mathematics. In mathematics as well, you use a lot of heuristics, right? Let's say you're solving integration problems. One method you use in one problem may not work in another problem, but you still study them. And if you think about it, real world problem solving is more about heuristics than algorithms. Because if there's a method which is going to work all the time, that's a boring space. Humans won't be, humans are not needed there, computers will take over. Or even if humans are needed there, probably it's a clerical job. But the real world problem solving is a lot more about heuristics, where some places things work, some places things don't work. But some of these hacks end up being reusable in a new situation. But where they can be reused, again, is very difficult to predict. Because it's difficult to predict, because it's a creative process, is why I think growth hackers are super valuable. Which is why I think if AI can automate things, I think growth hacking is one of the last things that I think AI can automate. So. Okay. Thanks a lot, everyone, for joining in. I hope you had a good experience. We'll listen to 3 reflections and close. Who wants to go in? What are your takeaways from the workshop? 3 reflections and we close. Yeah, Marwan, please go ahead.
Yeah, like I have 3 takeaways from this workshop altogether, like not just from here, because like I was like also framing a message for this workshop. I went through a video like done by you, Tarun, and you did not specifically mention it here, but when you said that the approach was from lean philosophy, that is from project management. And that is how the growth hackers are required for the exposure, and not just in growth hacking, but in every aspect. You mentioned it in the video, how a growth hacker is required a knowledge background of product, tech, marketing. Also UX also may come in. And like that was like shown here, like I was able to get that, like I wanted to show that point here. The second one is the setting the number. Like that is like I experienced with the growth lever, where when the founder, he did not know any numbers. He was not aware of any numbers other than just launching his app. And when Saurabh and I was like telling that this number is required, the second day he was out. Like I never thought of setting this number, but you showed that this growth lever sheet has showed that we have to set the number. Like that I wanted to show as well. And the third one is like the data analysis, which we are actually focusing on right now within DT. When you said that the answer might be correct, but the execution was wrong, or we like answer is wrong and the execution might be like right or wrong, but we did it in fluke. How we can analyze that? That is through data. So like these 3 points were like my key takeaways from this workshop, I guess.
Yeah, brilliant reflection, Marwan. Thoroughly enjoyed this. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, over to you, Shomita.
So my takeaway will be, when there are some problems we are seeing, let's take some time to understand the problem. If we are understanding and defining the problem, then the solution, coming up with a solution will be easier rather than straight jumping into the solution. Another takeaway of mine will be the importance of setting OKRs and how to come up with numbers. So when we are coming up with numbers, we will have something to, work for. Again, the North Star thing comes in the play. When we are setting the number, we will have a North Star to guide us. And yes, the case studies, I was about to text Marvin that can we have a lot of case studies as some sessions. I was about to text her, because I think this will be helping a lot of people when they will be getting to know about a lot of case studies. It will help them to set their OKRs, their key results as well. So these are my takeaways.
You can read the book Sean Ellis, Hacking Growth. So many case studies written there.
Yes.
I understand Gen Z are not very happy reading books, but please read this book. It's a fantastic book.
No, I'm very happy reading. But I was not able to finish it yet.
So I hope now you have a bigger reason to finish it. And for the others who have not even started the book, please go ahead, start it. It's a beautiful book. Yeah, Tushar, over to you.
Yes, I have had quite a few big takeaways as well. First of all, when you're talking about validation as well, and I was able to relate it with the SLFs work that we are doing right now. For example, there are a lot of behavioral problems that people are facing, and we have had certain ideas, but again, the team, quite like we worry a little bit, what if this idea doesn't work and stuff. We just think that the validation would not work. Like there's still some things, right? Like for example, there's this idea, we try and ask people if you think this idea is good or not. So we do that validation stuff, and people do not try it out and stuff. But again, as you said, right, behavior is highly unpredictable, and what a single person might
Validation is not people telling me that they think it works. Validation is me testing the idea and me checking if the idea worked or not.
and then getting feedback on it.
Yes, because I might go to Palash and ask Palash, do you think this will help you solve your problem? Palash might say no, but in reality, when I implement it, maybe Palash would actually see that it worked. Let's say I make a health drink, I go to Palash and ask, Palash, do you think this drink can make you run faster? And Palash sees that there's bitter gourd in the drink, and he's like, no, it will not make me run faster. Don't make me drink it. But let's say I make him drink it, and then he actually runs, and he runs faster. Oh yeah, I did run faster. Or Palash might think it will help, but eventually it may not help. So I want to implement it. See, I think one big problem which people get into is analysis paralysis, right? You overthink. But the only way you can find things out is you try it out. And when you try it out, you'll know if it works or it doesn't work. And in innovation, we have to be mentally prepared to fail, and we have to be, that courage to accept failure is very important in innovation. Because you'll fail more often than you succeed. In an innovation setup, you'll fail more often than you succeed. Successful innovators are the ones who failed a lot. So you want to fail fast, learn fast, iterate fast, and evolve fast. There's a mantra of design thinking, right? Iterate fast, make mistakes fast, fail fast, learn fast, evolve fast. Iterate fast, make mistakes fast, learn fast, evolve fast. Yeah.
Right. Yes, thank you for that. And the other takeaway was you were talking about defining the problem statement really well, so that when you go into diagnosing the root of that problem, it allows you to have that wonderful understanding of the problem, right? So like this is something that we have been trying to do as well, rather than just thinking on coming up with tools. Right now we are first trying to understand what the problems are, why people are facing and stuff, and it actually makes a lot of sense. So that's the second takeaway. And the final one was when you were talking about milestones and stuff. So yesterday also you talked about how OKRs and stuff, they help people get aligned. So now that in SLM itself, when we have set such objectives, everyone is thinking about how the problems can be solved. So yeah,
I think before we conclude, one small case study here. I was trying to analyze Tushar's leadership. So we were having a discussion with few people. So Tushar, you're fantastic. You've got good clarity. You want to do things, but there's one area where the team is having a gap with you. We found out why. And then we understood it's because your speech rate is too fast. People don't understand what you're saying. And you know how you can solve this problem? There's a very simple hack for this. Look at the eyes of your audience while speaking, which you don't right now. Right now, it's like you don't care about who's listening. You're just like closing your eyes and saying it. A lot of us do it. A lot of us do it in the initial days. But when you make eye contact, you'll actually talk at a pace that your audience is suited to. You're not talking at your audience, you're talking to your audience. Do I make sense? This is a growth hack again, right? To understand where the problem is, go solve it. And this applies not just to Tushar, but for a lot of you. You want to be a good communicator, make good eye contact, make consistent eye contact. This is why when you guys switch off your videos, I freak out. Because then I do not know how to communicate. Okay, now Amrit, suddenly switches on his video. Okay, so yeah. And one request for all the Gen Z folk, all the Gen Z readers here. So Samita has contradicted me saying, we Gen Z guys read, stop stereotyping us. I'm glad she corrected me. So for those of you who read, so do help me in getting more people to start reading, right? I'm tired of telling people to start reading a few books. So since you've already read a few chapters and since I'm sure you've experienced the bliss with some of the case studies in the chapter, do tell the others about what your experience was while reading the book, so you can encourage more people to read the book. Yeah, Shubhangi.
Yeah, like I wanted to share one thing. Today I took a workshop on theory of constraints, where I kind of linked it with whatever we were discussing right now, like, holding that problem, knowing the problem. So the same goes with the theory of constraints. You know
Bottleneck.
that constraint. Yeah. I mean,
The bottleneck, right? Diagnosing the
yeah, yes. So analyzing that bottleneck becomes very important. Just like how you did it with the case study of Tushar, and I mean, we all might have one constraint where we can focus on, and then we can all become better. So, like startup companies also might have one or two constraints that can be hold, and it was very beautifully, said by Palash today in the workshop, that it's like the string of kite, which you can, make it flow in a particular direction. So, yeah, I just wanted to say this thing. So, yeah.
Thanks a lot for bringing this up. It's a wonderful connection you've made with theory of constraints. You guys see that, right? Lean startup, growth hacking, theory of constraints, all three, we were able to connect the dots. And that's beautiful when we learn concepts from the roots, right? When we learn concepts from the roots, we're more capable of, connecting the dots. I think that's a great way to sign off. Thank you everyone for joining in, and good night.